you have to be mentally strong to play at all. You have to be strong to play at all because it's a massive part of the game. It's a massive part of the game, you know. During the game, after the game, before the game, you have to be mentally focused, mentally strong, you know. You definitely have to be mentally strong to play as a striker, you know, because you're going to have days where you don't get the chances, just don't score as well. You know, you have to like go back and just keep going, because you don't touch the ball as much. So when you touch the ball, you have to be past whatever happened previously and be ready to go for it again. So the great thing is you can always be mentally tougher. There's always something to learn. Playing with New York Red Bulls, MLS Next Pro was good. You know, it was good. It was a dream come true in terms of when I left Nigeria, I was telling myself, you know, I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna finish school and stop playing professionally, and that is exactly what I did, you know. So like that first idea of like, okay, I said I was going to do this, and regardless of the challenges and being alone, I did it, you know. I think that's probably the biggest part of it, is like just looking back and being able to tell my parents like, hey mom, I did it, I actually did what I said I was going to do. So definitely nothing beats that, for sure. It gets to a point where I just break and I'm just like reacting to things that are happening outside of the field and stuff, and believe it or not, like there are days where you want to be thinking about everything but football. You want to be doing everything but football, you know? So regardless of what you're dealing with, what you're hearing people say to you off the field, what you're hearing people saying on the field, you have to kind of move past all that things. And to do that, you have to continuously be interacting with your environment and continuously interacting with people around you. And I think that kind of stuck with me from the jump. Was like, I knew I had to deal with a lot of people, a lot of different people with different opinions. Some people hasn't even played the game, but they say what they need, what they feel like they want to say and stuff. So kind of being able to leave that on the outside and be composed and be in control of your own self. I think the hardest thing to do is to be in perfect control of yourself, and that's why it's continuous. That's why the mental side as well is continuous. You have to be constantly working on it. You have to constantly be working on the personal side, but also the interacting with other people part, you know? So, but in your head, you could get carried away with, oh, I'm not there yet. This is where I'm trying to be. That you lose track of the magic that's happening where you are, you know? I'm more happy that I signed my first professional contract now than I was when I just did it. Distractions, there are always gonna be distractions. New York of all is crazy, you know, like while New York Red Bull has their facility and the training facility in New Jersey, like they're all just a train ride out of New York City, right? So if you go on any of the New York players' Instagram right now, like you will see a very high percentage of them have pictures of themselves in Madison Square Garden, have a picture of themselves in New York or whatever, right? So there's always that, and it only becomes a distraction when you kind of lose focus of like your goal and like what you're trying to do, you know? So I think being in an environment like that is a little bit of a challenge, but it's also a little bit of a learning curve for you to kind of get yourself back to like the mental part. Like you have to be mentally strong to know like, like I could be doing this, I could be out with my friends doing this. Like for me, it was crazy because everyone that I grew up with were around. Everyone that I grew up with were around. So if I lost track of like what I'm there for in the first place, I could be out with my friends every single day of the week if I wanted to, right? Because they're there. They're all there growing up, you know? So I think being able to focus on what you're doing and your goal with all those distractions only makes you better. I mean, obviously, I like to tell my friends, like, bro, that doesn't mean you have to sit down and be bored at home every day. There's so much you could do that doesn't take away from you being pro. That is not detrimental to your goal, you know? Yeah, signing for New York Red Bulls was crazy. It was just wild for me to think about, because growing up, when I first got to New York, I had friends that would wear the Thierry Henry jersey from New York Red Bull, and I was just there. Like it's a bragging right for a lot of my friends that grew up as New York fans. Like it was not just for me, it was for them as well. So I think for me, I always look back into that, and I'm always grateful for the opportunity, you know. First professional contract, you always remember that. You always remember that first one. I'm Oladayo Thomas, and that has been Starting 11.